Can you believe it? This is the 64th episode of the Drunk Linux User, and it's also going to be the last of the regularly scheduled. Come back in just a few seconds and I'll explain why. Welcome to the Drunk Linux User. I am Len. I am the Drunk Linux User. And before I get into the next project that's going to be absorbing a lot of my time besides working, I wanted to address a couple of things that have come down the Linux pike that I think are very, very, very good. And then I have a surprise at the end as well. So we're going to start off with OMG Ubuntu. Joey tells us that we have a new release of the KDE Plasma. It's now 5.24. And there are a lot of changes and a lot of improvements to this. And again, as they continue with their upgrades to this particular desktop environment, they are also working on making Wayland better as well. This will probably be available through the KDE Neon distribution first, and possibly even through the Arch repositories. However, if you want to use Kubuntu, which is the KDE version of Ubuntu, then you can enable what are called backports. And what are these backports you speak of? Well, this is a great article right here on how to be able to get the Kubuntu backports repository set up and how to upgrade to the latest, greatest KDE. Just following these lines right here: sudo apt repository, and then the repository itself. Then you just do sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade, and you're going to see almost immediately that there are going to be some software that you're going to need to download and install. It's hefty, I'll tell you that. There's quite a bit that they're basically just redoing the desktop from top to bottom when you go through this. It's really not that long. It probably took about somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes on mine. And yes, I've got a fast internet and I've got a fast processor. It may take longer for you, but it's worth it. It really is. It's very nice. And just to give you some idea, this is some of the changes that they've made, where it's very, very clean. The icons have been upgraded a little bit that you couldn't do before. I'm not going to get into all those. That's why Joey was so kind to write this great article. And this way you also get a chance to sit down with your cup of coffee and absorb this at your leisure. But just to kind of give you some idea, you can adjust the highlight color of your icons to match the highlight color of your Kubuntu setup. It is very fast. It is very nice. Very, very low on resources. I'm going to show you what that looks like. I am using OBS. You need to remember. And let's see. I haven't even installed it yet, so we'll get this installed real quick. Okay, so the task manager actually installed pretty fast, so here we are with that. And you can see CPU usage right now because, again, I'm using a screen recorder, OBS. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs open on Brave, and I think that's pretty much about it. I've also got Discover open. So if I start knocking some of these things down, you'll see that memory decreases as we go. Dolphin really doesn't take up that much. You might see a little bit right there. If I get rid of my tabs, I'm going to feel a little sad because then I'll have to go back and find them again. I'm not going to do that. So anyway, less than 3 gigs to run all of this at one time, I think is pretty damn respectable. So we're going to quit out of that. We're going to get into the next phase of what's going on with me, And part of that is I have also installed Windows 11, which I'm going to reboot into in just a moment. And as I do, before I do that though, I do want to let you know that I did a lot of research before I did this. I had no problem with my upgrade. I have no idea what your setup is, so I can't actually say this is going to be a breeze for you. But it was for me. And I didn't have to use a Microsoft account to be able to load it up. And I got a cat going crazy right now. So if you see anything running around like a wild monkey, that would be Mazikeen. So one of the things that I have found through my investigations on Windows 11 is this gentleman right here, Rob Braxman, and he goes through the privacy review for Windows 11, and surprisingly, as he says even, it's a lot better than expected, and probably a bit better than when you start up Windows 10 for the first time. Now, it's not to say that it's as good as Linux, and he'll tell you that too. It's not as secure out of the box as what Linux is, but there are ways that you can harden it without interrupting your workflow and the things that you need to do in your life. So if you, and also there is a great program right here called O&O Shut Up 10++, and this is really good stuff too. I used this on 10 actually before, and I actually do have to work with both operating systems, and unless somebody gives me a Mac to use when I work for them, that is about where I'm at as far as operating systems go. I do apologize for the little jingling in the background as Mazikeen is playing with her toys right now. The other thing that is kind of very interesting that I ran across while I was on his YouTube channel is the discussion about the antivirus lie. And I'm sure this is going to be one of those very controversial videos where some people are just going to swear up and down that you need to have this at home. But he's saying that at home Windows Defender operates better than either the free or the paid for subscription services that you can get for your home machine. He is not saying that your business should not have antivirus. He's only talking about at home, and he gives very good instructions and descriptions as to why that is. So in just a second, I am going to reboot into Windows 11, and I'm going to show you that first of all, I want you to get a good look at what we have right here as far as what KDE looks like in its latest form. And then I'm going to show you what Windows has turned into. And the irony is that there really isn't that much of a difference between the two, but that's a spoiler alert, I suppose. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into Windows 10. Old habits, right? Let's get into Windows 11, and I'll show you what's going on with that. Now, why am I showing Windows through a Linux channel? Well, first of all, it's my channel. I can do whatever I want to with it. Second of all, I think it is important to note that there are a lot of things that you can do within a Windows environment that you don't get the full effect of within Linux, unfortunately. And there are pieces of software that, you can come close, but you just can't quite get there. And if you have bosses and companies and clients or whatever that are requiring certain software or a certain kind of network setup, and they say, well, we don't support anything but Windows, you may have to dual boot as I have to. So let's get into that. I keep stalling because I'm just really loving this KDE. And I'll be back in just a minute. Well, welcome to Windows 11. And for those of you who have heard so much about it, this little guy down here in the middle of the taskbar is not that big of a deal, honestly. I know that a lot of people are used to visually seeing the start bar over on one side, but the more I tried to look at this in a more realistic way, instead of just saying, it's not what I'm used to, I don't like it, I sat there and said, okay, well, I'm working on a project right in front of me. Let's just say from our desktop here, we want to run, and we're going to go ahead and just click on this. Say we're going to run Word. Okay, so Word loads up, and we're going to set up a new document, and we'll just go ahead and create it. Okay, so I'm sitting here in Word, and it's like, oh crap, I'm typing, but I don't want to move my hand from the keyboard, but there's something I want to try to find. Keeping your eyes focused ahead, I think, actually makes sense as opposed to having to look off to the side. So having this menu in the middle, even though it's a little bit different than before, if I wanted to sit here and type in Brave, then I can launch my browser. So my browser comes up, and I can type in research materials, okay? And as I go through here, I'm seeing all the different things that you can research. All right, so I want to get rid of it. I keep my hand on the keyboard. I know this is not a huge, great, big deal thing, but honestly, if I am working on something and I don't want to keep screwing around going over here, I want to keep my focus straight ahead, I think this is worth it. Notepad, for example, here we go. And I know that my picture here is kind of like getting in the way, but as you can see, this honestly doesn't look all that much different than KDE, or KDE doesn't look all that much different from Windows 11. It's very Linuxy-like in its appearance, and they've got brand new icons, and I'm not being a fanboy, so you guys can just calm down right now. That's not what I'm doing. But I am showing that there are improvements made to the graphical user interface, and I find them pleasing. And if I'm going to be working on Windows, I actually think that it does a pretty damn good job. It's reasonably quick, and I think it does a very, very good job. I've been using it extensively because of one of the projects that I've been asked to work on. And I've left it on overnight for a few nights, and I've been doing videos, and I've been doing all kinds of stuff with this, and it has not crashed, it's not lagged, it's not done anything to make me think that this is bad. As a matter of fact, I think it's very fluid, very nice, and very easy to use. So if your system can handle it, if you're asked to use Windows and you don't like Windows 10, you might want to consider Windows 11. I think that as far as workflow goes, as far as being able to visualize your work from, say, KDE to Windows 11 will not be as jarring as what it was before. So I think there's some positives here. And like I said, it's been very, very stable. I have not had not one issue with it since I put it on over a week ago. So yes, I cannot go back to Windows 10. I've gone past that 7-day mark, and it seems to be working just fine. So I've also talked recently about the fact that I am not going to be doing the Drunk Linux user regularly anymore. As you may have noticed, there's been more and more days in between episodes anyway. It isn't because there's nothing to talk about, it's because I have something else that I really want to get involved with. And if I find something really, really great and wonderful to talk about as far as Linux is concerned, I will pop in every once in a while. But right now, I want to do something that has been a part of my life for as long as I honestly can remember. I have been the biggest sci-fi nerd you've ever seen. I have been just sucked into, even as a child. As soon as I saw that there was something like Lost in Space or Star Trek or Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, it was like I could not get enough of it. And then I was able to get into libraries and pick up books, even though the school library had a very, very small science fiction collection, because honestly, back in the mid-'60s, for children, that just was not a big deal. As I got older, I found out that I could get books through the Scholastic Book Club through school, and the only things that I were downloading, downloading, buying, and having sent to the house were science fiction books, anything that I could find. And there were months when there wasn't anything there. So you just go back and you reread everything that you had beforehand. So I've been involved with science fiction from the children's through young adult through holy crap, what is this? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how science fiction has impacted our society and how it has normalized certain things that beforehand people just absolutely had no absolute idea of, or even the possibility of something like these things actually coming into existence. I know there's a lot of examples of that I can go into right now, but that's what the new show is going to be about. And it's going to be called the Sci Fi Analyst. So look for that. And as I've got the channels all set up on my distribution points, so you can't steal it from me. And I might pop in for a quick little update on here on DLU to let you know what's going on. In the meantime, let's remember our words of wisdom. Don't drive drunk. Don't drink and drive. Don't go to eBay, Amazon, or use MS Edge all buzzed up thinking that you're getting the best, coolest, and neatest stuff, because you're probably not. In the meantime, bottoms up. Later, dudes. Thanks for being a watcher, a subscriber, a commenter. I've really appreciated it, and I've gotten to talk with a number of really, really nice people. Cheers.